Hey everybody, welcome to Hitting It with HardWire. I think we got some funky new graphics on here. I like that. That's it. Everything look all right, sound all right out there. Thanks, Steve, for coming. Gary, Evil Rick, S&S, Tats, Steve. I appreciate you guys coming. Oh, look, my wife's out there too. That's not intimidating or anything. She's gonna be giving me shit. Anyway, what I wanted to, it's been a busy weekend going to club functions, uh, stuff like that. Uh, and you guys out there in the club know that, yeah, typically the club functions are uh, not what everybody thinks they are. Usually a bunch of old guys getting together, saying hi, shaking hands. Hi, how you been? And sitting around drinking pop. You know, it's not really all that. We have a good time. I mean, just saying hi to each other, and it's good to see each other because we don't all get together very often. But it's a good time. See, if you could see that, I'm a proud dad of a freaking awesome daughter. Yes, she bought me this. Shout out to Sarah, my daughter. Yes, I'm still drinking coffee. One of the things I wanted to start with today was talk a little bit about something that's been on my mind a lot lately, and that's a lot of the back in the day there. I don't know how old a lot of you are, but Gary, I know you remember a lot of this stuff. Back in the old days, there used to be a lot of old people at the time used to picket, saying the end of the world's coming. We can't allow the moral decay of our society. A lot of things like that, and it's really been on my mind, wondering a lot. If a lot of these things are correct, that these old people were right all along, and I can't help but think that they were right. I was one of the kids going, they're full of crap. I don't think I don't think so. I don't think any of that's right. They're full of shit. It's all good. We're all, everything's going to be good, and it ain't gonna be like that. Hey Lee, how you doing, brother? Yeah. You see, me wearing my Trump shirt. I got to make sure I take all my club stuff off before I get on there. Yeah, it really bothers me. Was watching Joe Rogan the other day. I do like to watch Joe, and he takes a solid stance for gay marriage. And while I'm not opposed to gay marriage, there's a argument to be had there that once you allow certain moral lines to be crossed, it does, in fact, lead to more and more decay in society. I've noticed it within my lifetime, and if you keep allowing lines to be crossed, look, I'm not for just to make the record straight, so y'all know, my son's gay. I don't care really. I mean, I had a long. This is my exact talk with him. All right, I'll be honest. When he come down and told me, I said, "Hey, listen, that I was given hell for telling him my view, but I sat him down and I gave him my straight view of what I thought of it. I said, listen, I said, I know it's the popular thing these days. I know Kids will call you gay. Kids are ruthless, and they'll do and say anything. Just don't think for a minute that because you're different, you might like purple, you might like fucking even pink, you might like a lot of things that are different. Not for 1 millionth of a millisecond is that what makes you gay. I said, what other dudes that makes you gay? I said, but yeah, I said, no matter, I'm not going to be like a lot of parents, son. I will love you no matter what. It doesn't make any difference. You know, I would prefer that wasn't the case, but I was raised religious. I am not the biggest Bible beaten religious person on the planet, obviously. And he told me, that he's glad and he's pretty sure, and I said, well, I was raised religious and I know I'm going to heaven one day, hopefully no time soon. But whenever I get there, I hope to see you there. And I was raised that's against religion. So, and what else was it? I said, to me, it's against nature. I said, if it was meant to be, then a man and a man could procreate. I said, it's obviously against nature. It was never meant to be natural. I said, so no, I don't believe in it, but I will never ever disown you. I will never stop loving you. You will always be my son, and I'll always be proud of you. And I love you no matter what. And I think crossing lines like allowing. See, I was watching Matt Walsh on Joe Rogan's show, and Joe Rogan was adamantly arguing with Matt Walsh about that. And Matt Walsh basically says, "Why don't you're hijacking our word. Marriage is meant to be between a man and woman, and it's been that way for a long, long time." Oh God, now my daughter's in here too. Hi, Sarah. Yeah, that's my daughter. uh, I said whenever Matt Walsh basically made the argument hey, if you want to have your own thing and you want the rights of married people or whatever, and you want to love who you want to love, then that's fine. But make your own thing. Call it something else. Call it a union. Call it something else, because it's not marriage. Marriage is a man and a woman, and it's been that way forever. And I totally agree with that. And I think that filters over into so many other things, with women wanting to call themselves transgender, women wanting to call themselves women. I think that's just baloney. I think because this steals away from women everywhere, and I think it's if you want to be transgender, then more power to you. And but you need your own word for it. Transgender's fine. Call yourself whatever you want. Call yourself a hooblig dooblig gooblig dooblig or whatever the hell you want. But yeah, you can't call yourself a woman because you're not. And that's kind of how I see it too. And I think it's yeah, 100%, Steve. I'm religious too. I mean, I'm religious, but you will never hear me shoving it down someone's throat. If somebody asks me, they'll say, Hey, what do you believe? I say, hey, I'm a Christian. I've been saved. I've been saved a long time ago. And there's a hey straight. There's a verse in the Bible that says, "What God." I'm see that's how much of how good I am at it. What God has in His hand, let no one pick asunder, or something like that. So once you're in the hand of God, you're there. You don't choose God. Basically, God's chose you, and once you've been saved, you're always saved, and that's as simple as that. Uh, and I'm not Catholic. I got my own views on Catholicism. I don't believe any person should have to go into a closet and confess to a man. I think that's just weird. But hey, I had a really good pastor when I was younger. I asked him one time, and me and him used to sit around and philosophize because he went to college, and we'd sit around and kind of philosophize, and I'd tell him some of my thoughts and views on a lot of things, and I asked him one time. I said, "Hey, what's the difference between all these different denominations and Catholicisms and Lutherans and all that?" He told me to look at it this way. We're all going down the highway, and some of us are taking different paths, but we're all looking to get to the same place. And I like that, kind of way of looking at it. And I've always kind of thought of it that way. If that's how it goes, and I'm just glad that people can find the Lord however they do it. You know, just glad that they do. And that was my preaching for today because today's Sunday. So praise the Lord. And um, hopefully, hopefully we can get rid of some of this craziness in the world, man. I mean, how can you honestly look back at all the things that they used to picket and talk about how all these things were going to lead to the moral decay of society. Now, I like heavy metal. Don't get me wrong, and I think that's kind of not the best example, but it was the only one I could think of. So, so, but you're I like Slayer even, and Slayer's like it's like watching a horror movie, and I think Ozzy referenced it once. Heavy metal tends to be like horror music. Okay, you can watch a horror movie. That doesn't mean you're going to go out and kill people. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are the fanatics and the crazies out there that will see some of these things and then try to do it. That doesn't mean it's all bad by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, but there has been times and things that have happened throughout the years where good people, like a lot of us are, have sat on the sidelines and sat there and sat back and did nothing. We've said nothing. We've kind of thought, live and let live, and I've been the same way for a lot of my life. I won't lie. I voted for Bill Clinton. I voted for Ross Perot one year, kind of for the same reason why one of the reasons why I like Trump, because I thought, hey, here's a rich guy, self-made. He's got enough money, he can't be bought. That's kind of why I voted for Ross Perot. I voted for Barack Obama, even though that turned out to be a bad idea. I was sold on the BS. I hated both the Bushes, George Bush, senior and junior. Just absolutely hated them. They were just completely bought by oil money. They were horrible, horrible presidents. There was a few years there where there was just both picks were a garbage. At least I would say somewhat we get at least getting better choices the last couple of years anyway. Uh, yeah, I intend to vote for Trump. That's my full intention. Trump's kind of adolescent acting, egomaniac. but he's got a good heart. He's guilty of doing a lot of things that billionaires do, not always treating women the best. Uh, like any one of us men can almost always say at some point in our life we've been a little chauvinist or not always been the best at treating women like they should be treated. You learn, you live and you learn. When you get older, you learn. But I like his policies. A lot of the policies that Trump wanted to lay out, I said for years before that, I wish somebody would do this and do that. The tariffs thing, I said we need more tariffs. We never should have got rid of them. When he started laying into the steel tariffs on foreign steel, we had been needing to do that forever. I'm not too far from Pittsburgh. And I went down there for a training for a while down to steel mills in Pittsburgh, and they were starting to close all these steel mills. There's one not too far north of me that had closed, and as soon as Trump laid into the steel tariffs, all of them started opening back up. All the ones that had been closed, you're talking thousands upon thousands of jobs that came back because he started doing that. And there was some of the automotive industry that planned on moving overseas, and Trump straight up said, "Hey, I guess you can do that. I can't really stop you from doing that. But whenever you move over there and you want to ship your stuff back over here, we're going to hammer you with charges, and you're not going to be able to, basically not going to be able to sell your stuff." So, and then a bunch of them said, "Oh, you know what? I guess we won't move overseas." So, yeah, I'm all for a lot of Trump's policies. They did a lot of really good things. A lot of people want to say, like Mike points out a lot about him getting rid of Roe v. Wade. First of all, Trump didn't do that. The Supreme Court did that. And it put everything back to the states. It wasn't any kind of an abortion ban like they're trying to tout it as. I watched all that DNC stuff, and Mike, honestly, when I watched it on your show, it was hard to stomach. It really was. Yeah, Steve. I started out when I was younger. I considered myself a Democrat. I really did. But the Democratic Party, I've noticed over the last, pretty much since Trump got into office, I've noticed basically the whole party system has flipped. At one point in time, Republicans were all for the big rich corporations, and Democrats were for the working man. And now it's kind of the opposite. Trump's all about the working people and trying to help us out. And now all you see in the whole Democratic Party is nothing but rich elite and corrupt people selling their soul for money. And it's become a horrible thing. It really bothers me, and I've always been of a strict opinion that to get rid of some of this, I think political parties ought to be abolished altogether. There shouldn't be any political party affiliation to anybody in politics, because if you look, whenever they go to pass laws, whenever they go to do they write these bills and they go to pass laws. If you look at some of them are legitimately would be good for this country, and that's no joke. But they don't care about that. They will vote right straight down party lines. Republican, whoever wrote it. If a Democrat wrote it or a Republican wrote it, they'll vote right straight down party lines, and not one single person will either didn't read it or they don't care, because they're going to vote for whoever to oppose whatever party had written it, unless it's, you know what, you get what I'm saying, that they'll vote down party lines, whether it's good for the country or not. Nobody cares. They're going to vote with whatever the rest of their parties do, unless they're a rhino or what do you call them, a dino. Rhino means Republican in name only. I just recently figured that out. And call them a dino, a Democrat in name only. Our governor in Ohio, he's a fucking piece of work. He's Governor DeWine. He claims to be a Republican, and he's an absolute turd. I don't know how would you go about getting rid of him without voting a Democrat in? I guess you'd have to. I don't know. You need to get more Republicans in the primary for governor, and make sure hardly anybody goes and votes in the primaries. When I was younger, the only time every 4 years, that's when I voted. When the presidential election came, I would go vote. But every other year when there was a vote, I would never go to any of them. It was only the presidential votes that I went to. Evil Rick, yeah. There was a time whenever I was going to run for office. That was just a few years ago. I said, you know what? I would like to be the very first politician to pull up in D.C. on a Harley, blaring some GNR or some Slayer as loud as I can, pull right up there, go, what's up, man? Now I'm here, and walk up in there. Dude, I've been probably taking a week to throw me out. But I get tired of the kind of crap that goes on in Washington, man. It's just terrible. But one of the things that I am absolutely adamant about, and I found out that there's some states and their state governments or whatever that have similar things, that when it has to be if you bring up a bill, it's allowed one topic. You can have one thing in a bill, and that's the way the United States government needs to start doing things. No bloat. You're not going to put in all this other crap, all these social issues into an oil bill. You know what I mean? That's how it needs to be. It really does. They need to stop with this craziness. 600-page bill that says, just for example, the Inflation Reduction Act, and it's got 5 billion things in there about nothing. How can we line each other's pockets to death? That's basically what it is. It's just absolutely atrocious. And that's one of the absolute most horrific things in Washington, is the way they do a lot of these bills, and then they vote down party lines. And they had that what was it, sending over $1 billion to overseas for gender study, some kind of gender studies or whatever. And I thought more and more about that recently, and I'll guarantee you they have somebody over there that accepts said money and sends the rest of it back just to line these politicians' pockets. I'll bet you if it's $1 billion, $100,000 line some overseas guys' pockets to send the money right back. It's kind of basically a form of money laundering, and it's so bad, dude. Our government's just out of control. But how do you fix it? That's the thing. You have to kind of work within the bounds of what you have. There was a time whenever I thought time to burn it down. I mean, it said in our was it the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence says as United States citizens, it was our obligation when we saw government get too bad and get too corrupt to overthrow the government. And that was our job as citizens to do that. I mean, it said it right in there. But what can you do? They've got the bombs, man. They've got the planes. We have allowed government to get so big that there's really not a lot we can do with it. We got to try to find ways to work within the system that we have because there's no reinventing it. Yeah, I try to keep talking as much as possible. I'm trying to read your comments here. I figured out how to turn the brightness up on the display, so now they're a little bit easier to see. I'm going to order a big screen TV. My little podcasting room set up. I'm going to order a big screen TV just to sit right on the other side of the desk where I'm sitting at, and I'm going to flip that big screen facing me here. I'm going to put the whole thing up there. That way your comments when they're coming up are great big so I can read them all real easy without having to squint. That will make it a little bit easier. Anyway, like I was saying earlier, I started out as a Democrat. Then I registered as an independent for a while, and it felt like a waste. Honestly, being an independent, you're never going to win. You might as well be wasting your vote, honestly. But I think they should abolish political parties altogether and make everybody run on policy. You want to win, you got to have a better idea, a better policy. You better come up with something that's going to make you stand out above the others and run on that and hope people hear it, they like it, and that's what they vote for. If we abolish this whole political party system is absolutely ripe for corruption. More than our framework and what the way the government is set up is not bad. It's set up well. But we've allowed this political party scheme, political contributions. A lot of these things are what's destroying it from within. A lot like the way they talked about in the Bible, the church being destroyed from within, our government's being destroyed from within. It really is. Mike, you ain't had no coffee yet today? Man, you're behind unless you slept all day. What did you have a rough night last night? Yeah, my old lady ain't kidding. She wakes me up in the morning, coffee pot running every morning. I'm like, she's like, hey, we're gonna sleep in tomorrow. I'm like, cool. We'll try to sleep in. Next thing I know, it's 6:30 in the morning. She's making coffee, and I'm like, geez, I thought you said sleep in. What the hell? I'm gonna get myself some earplugs. Start sleeping with earplugs in or something. Well, what was it? Biden said something about age limits for the president. Isn't that what he was talking about the other day? Oh, term limits for justices. That's what he was talking about. Term limits for justices. And I said, boy, what? Are you kidding me? Now that he has a problem with getting everything in there that he's down with or whatever, and having problems with what he thinks is going on. Now he wants term limits for justices so they can try to push in what they want. But what happened to term limits for senators and House of Republicans? The senators already have term limits. I can't remember, but anyway, I know the House don't. Look at Nancy Pelosi. She's older than dirt. She should have been gone a long time ago. Yeah, that ain't no kidding. I can't believe uh I can't believe for a millisecond that people voted Joe Biden into office. Dude, he the last thing everybody was complaining, they wanted to get rid of like lifelong politicians, and they voted in a lifelong politician. I mean, he was in office longer than I've been alive. I was born in 1976. And that dude's been in office since I think 74. I think I heard he's been in office longer than I've been alive. And they voted him in. He ran for president, what, 7 or 8 times and couldn't win? That's why I I can't believe I'm not going to say necessarily that they cheated per se in 2020. Cheated might be the wrong word. They rigged the system. They passed laws. They literally made a lot of things legitimate so that they could legally cheat. And that was horrible. Horrible. And when Trump says they stole it from them, they did. But they did a lot of things illegal and pushed a lot of things through. And they're going to try to do it again. They're registering tons and tons of illegals, and they think they're going to be automatic votes. And yeah, it's horrible. I'm worried that it's gonna go real bad this time around. Because in my whole entire life, I have never ever seen. That's why I couldn't believe Trump lost in 2020. I've never seen a president of the United States literally with like rock star status. Trump can go in and pack an arena like a rock concert, and I've never seen anything like it. And how can a guy like that lose? Really? Honestly, that's just I've never ever seen anything like it. Trump Trump is a legitimate celebrity president. Ronald Reagan was an actor, but I don't think he had that kind of popularity even. It's so good to see my family, the Insane Wheels family in here. Hey, Mike's inspiring a lot of people to start their own YouTubes. He's inspired me. I wasn't going. I'd never really thought of a YouTube. I'm kind of new to the whole YouTube live thing. I didn't even know it was a thing. I mean, it's been a thing. It's been around for a long time. My son used to watch that. What the hell was it called? Pootie Pie. Where I never understood watching somebody else play video games, dude. I'd rather play a video game than watch somebody else play a video game. I think that's so dumb. But somehow that became a whole big internet thing. But I'm kind of new to it. I started turning on BD and Mike, and I started watching a little bit of Hollywood stuff. I can't really talk a lot about Hollywood personally. I don't like the way he carries himself or the way that he speaks to his wife. So that's his business, but that does give me every right to not like him. So I would not, if I met somebody, and maybe it's like an on-air personality. I don't know. It could be maybe if I met him and sat down and talked to him, maybe I'd like him. I don't know. But if you're on Facebook and you or YouTube and you project that kind of persona and you start meeting people and they have a problem with you because of your persona, then that's your fault. You chose to be, you chose that persona, you know. I So yeah, odds are very well that if I ever ran into him, I just wouldn't talk to him. I'm not I wouldn't be the kind to be like come up to him and say, "Hey, I don't like how you do this and I don't like how you do that." So, you know, me and you were going rounds or whatever, I would that's not who I am. I don't like if somebody he says something that bothers me and I don't like him, I'm just gonna ignore him and stay away from him. There we go. The insane wheels entertainment network. We can do like uh Shapiro and Matt Walsh and all them did. What's that? What do they have? They have their own little kind of network thing going over there with all them guys. The Daily Wire. It's actually really popular. We can start doing our own little thing. I'm gonna I'm gonna have to go to see that. I don't know. Does anybody but me know who Matt Walsh is? I might have to go see that. Am I racist that he's got coming out? The guy's cool because he literally talks to the other side and he doesn't press his views on them necessarily. He asks them questions and basically lets them hang themselves because of the fact that there's no logic. There's no actual logic in anything that they believe. If you press them for information and and knowledge on the things that they talk about, they really have no knowledge and there's no basis in any of the things they say. It's terrible. I used to listen to a little bit of Ben Shapiro stuff, but he kind of gets on my nerves. He's got one of these real whiny voices, and then I just yeah, he don't have a voice for radio either. I don't know. It's hard to listen to me. I don't know, and he's over. I don't know if overly uh imposing his religious viewpoints on things. They all do it a little bit. Michael Knowles is heavily Catholic, and I don't agree with a lot of things he says because he basically likes to say if you're not Catholic, you're going to hell, and I disagree with that viewpoint. And if you have a show and you're Catholic or Jewish or anything else, you're free to say that you give your viewpoint on what you think because of your religion, this and this and this and this is going to happen, but you don't alienate other viewers. You don't start saying, well, I think you're wrong. You're going to go to hell. Basically, I think that's awful. Uh, but I like Matt Walsh. I listen to a little bit of Michael Knowles' stuff, but not a lot. Uh, did I go off there for a minute? Is everything all right now? And my whole screen literally just kind of said, there's a problem and went off. Yeah. The problem, Mike, is I put this studio upstairs, and I'm literally running off wireless, which is a huge mistake, and I know what it is. I know I know I shouldn't have done that, but I got to drill through the floor and run an Ethernet cable down. I've got excellent internet, and I have uh, fiber, so I get as high. I got 1 gig up and 1 gig down, which is more than enough for anything to do with streaming. And I have cable. I have 2 different internets. I have 1 gig cable streaming, which I try to force all the game systems and stuff in the house onto that, so that it doesn't cause issues with what Dad wants to do. Dad pays for it, so Dad gets the priority. So, hey, Dean, I'm really glad a lot of you guys made it, man. That's awesome. I was glad to see everybody show up. Well, a lot of you showed up. Uh-oh. No, I can't see the chat. I only see me. There we go. I watch a lot of Fox News, but I do not agree with everything they say. Disagree with a lot of what they say, but they are most closely aligned to most of my thought process. So, yeah, guys, in the chat, make sure you say hi to my wife, and I don't know if my daughter's still in there or not. Let's say hi to them. Show them what I'm always talking about what a great family we are in the chat. It's really a good time. Maybe we can get her on enjoying some YouTube more too. Maybe she'll start showing up on Mike's show. We really do have a great family, you know. We very seldom we do get trolls, but not very often. We get a few here and there, but usually they don't last long because there's too many of us good people in there that just don't put up with it. And just for reference, so you know, I was approached by let's see, how do I put it? I was approached by someone above me and asked about my podcast, and basically said, "Have you ever actually watched it?" And they didn't. I said, "So hey, watch it," because I don't have none of you have ever heard me mention my club or anything like that because I don't. Um, and if any of you know or figured it out, I do not represent my club in any way, shape, or form. I do not speak for my club. I don't even speak for other people. I speak for me, and everything on this show is literally just my opinion. Opinions are like assholes. We all have them. And I really love seeing everybody else on the show. I love hearing their opinions because Mike will attest to this. Watching all this politics really sometimes makes you want to lose faith in humanity. It really does, and it's really depressing. And sometimes you got to tune out of it because it gets to you, man. It really does. It starts pulling on the heartstrings. It really gets to you. If that's all you did was watch politics all the time, man, yeah, it make you want to take a long walk off a short pier. You know what I'm saying? Because it's wow, it's depressing. This is really it. It goes to the beginning of the show. I kind of picked the headline. I knew it was not really going to be like just about that. It's barely even been about that. But had to pick something, and I want to keep some of that as a discussion, but it kind of goes back to what I originally said. The craziness in the world today. I mean, look at it. And I really think that a lot of that is the old things that everybody said about if you keep giving and giving and giving away territory, trying to be nice, trying to live and let live, then you get what we got. And it's nobody's fault but our own. But we got to draw the line and say, you know what, enough's enough. You know, the problem is us good people want to sit back and say nothing, sit at home, do our own thing, not pay attention to what's going on in the world, while the ones that are out there doing something, the ones that are protesting, the ones that are making the biggest noises, the ones that are doing things are all the wrong people. It's the crazy people that are out there trying to get shit done, and they've been getting the shit done. And now because we've sat back and we've done nothing and we've been silent, this is what we've gotten. So we have got to get out there and vote. We have got to start saying things. We have got to start letting the world know that we're here. We don't believe in this crap. This is baloney. You're tearing the world apart. You're destroying the country. And we've had enough of it. You're not going to keep up this garbage. You're not going to keep messing with our kids. You're not going to keep, pushing all this crap onto us, because they're always like, we were always like, oh, as long as they leave me alone, it's fine. But they're not doing it anymore. They're not. They're pushing everything into, you have to be this way. You have to think this way. We're going to start getting you kicked out of your jobs, all kinds of crazy BS. And frankly, those of us that have had enough have got to start speaking up. And like I've gotten both my daughter registered to vote this year, and she's 27. She didn't have any interest in voting. She heard me grumble and complain about politics every year and didn't really want to get into it. She's finally come to me and says, Dad, I've had enough of this shit. It's this society right now it's breaking me. The economy basically is what pushed her over the top. And my wife, she's been watching a lot of this political stuff with me, listening to me complain a lot. And she finally registered to vote. She's a nice young lady, younger than me. You never tell a woman's age, but she's younger than me, but not by a hell of a lot. And she has never registered to vote, and she's finally registered to vote. So I'm fine. If you get out there and you try to, too many people want to ignore it, but get out there and try to talk some people into register and try to get some people to pay attention to what's going on. Show them some of this. They'd be flabbergasted, and try to get some people out there to vote. I know Orange Man bad, whatever, but he's honestly our only chance right now of not having the world turn to absolute garbage. I'm sure they're going to try to cheat again, unfortunately. Oh, look at that. Now it's on the screen so everybody can see it if they watch the show back. I gotta say, my wife's pretty awesome. We kind of had a shotgun wedding. We'd known each other for years and hadn't really talking for years, but one day we just started talking, and we're like, hey, and we're like, I just got rid of a boyfriend, and some unfortunate circumstances in her life left her single again. And we started talking, and what was it, 2 or 3 months? We're like We ain't getting no younger, man. We're already in our, we're already getting up there. Whatever. I'm in my 40s. You know what? Piss on. You want to do it? Let's do it. Let's get married. Fuck it. Me, it's my fourth wife, so I'm not unfamiliar with being married. So I know what I'm signing up for. So, but yeah, our anniversary is this week, our 1 year anniversary, and it's mostly all been good. Not ready. I'm not ready to throw it out the door yet, although I had to throw it in a few times. She's gonna be mad at me now. Hey, Nitro. Oh boy, I didn't know if we'd be able to make a whole podcast today, and we're going on an hour again. And like, I need to try to do like Mike and start trying to keep these a little narrow, but for playback ability's sake or whatever. I did see that you can go back and kind of re-edit, like edit clips out of these and shorten them down a little bit for playability's sake. So maybe I'll have to try to figure that out. I need to spend a little bit more time during the week figuring out like getting some intro music. Nobody said anything about whether they like my new kind of graphics things that I got going on here. So I don't know if anybody likes it or not. I thought it looked pretty cool. It beats the heck out of streaming live on StreamYard. Yeah, I said I was going to start coming in with an outline and having a little bit more of an idea when I wanted to talk with. I came up with one basic idea, and I knew it would shoot off into blah 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 different topics and whatnot. I had a few more things I wanted to talk about, but I did forget to write them down. I might have breezed over some of it. I had an issue today. Went down to the drugstore. I don't know if any of you other anyone in the chats, if you've ever used there's a company called Gold RX or Good RX, and you can get the gold membership. And I've been going down to my local pharmacy here, and you can get these Good RX coupons, and they've been giving me a hell of a hard time about it. And it does save you a lot of money. In a lot of cases, it's a lot cheaper than even like my insurance is. And but over the last 2 years, the third or fourth time they tried to tell me that I can't use that coupon. Or I sent my wife down there, and they told her the price was too cheap. We can't honor that price. And I got really mad. I went down there and talked to the store manager, and I said, "This is the second or third time I've had to come down here. When I get Good RX involved, and I call Good RX, they ask me for the pharmacy's number every time. They call the pharmacy, then they call me back and say, "Oh, they've agreed to give you the difference back." And I don't know. I'm sure they're under some kind of a contractual obligation if they put their stuff out there, and it's like a coupon. You know how coupons work. They gather that crap up and they basically get reimbursed for it anyway. So I don't understand what the big deal is. But when I went down there, I said, you guys keep doing this to me. I said, how many people here are you doing this to? I said, usually if it's only the difference of $1 or $2, I don't even bother because it's not worth the aggravation to even say anything. I said, but $1 here and $2 there over the span of the last few years. Yeah, how many poor people are you ripping off? I said, do I got to get a lawyer? Do I got to call the news and get the news involved? I said, because I'll bet you guys are tantamount to laundering and exploiting old people and all these people here by $1 or $2 here and there. And making tons of money off ripping people off, basically. I said, I've been coming here since I was a kid. It's a local business, a local pharmacy, and I said I really want to support you guys. I really do. I said they're going to put me in charge with corporate. We'll see how that goes. I went down there. I had flames shooting out my ears, and I told my lady, I'm gonna try to be nice. We'll try to be nice. And I went in. I was assertive, but not rude. And it's a Sunday, so they're going to connect me with corporate on Monday. And I said, yeah, we'll see how that goes. You know, take it a step at a time. Try to be polite. Try to be nice first. Don't just go in and start blowing up on people. Try. Even though this is the third or fourth time I tried to be nice, but this time the last couple times I caved in on going higher up. I let the pharmacy head pharmacist say, "Oh, it'll never happen again. We'll make sure it don't happen again." Blah blah blah, and yeah, product placement. You owe me money, Pepsi. We wish it worked that way. Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for showing up on my show. And if you have extra money you want to throw it to Mike Paul. Mike, post it in the comments. I forget what your Cash App is. If you want to send me money, send it to Mike, because I don't want it. And God bless all of you guys. And if you don't believe in God, may blessings rain down upon you from whatever you do believe in. The spirits in the sky, Allah, whatever kind of blessings I can send to you, may good things happen to you, and may you be blessed in that way. All my biker brothers, what's the expression? Keep the shiny side up, rubber side down. God bless everybody, and I really hope you have a good week, and I will see y'all next week. Same time, 2:00 p.m. Sunday, Eastern Standard Time.